Morning, everyone. Appreciate you coming out to this press conference this morning. We want to talk a little bit about the ag issues going on right now, two state, two national. Just to sort of update you where we're at and our positions on those issues. The first one is the budget, state budget. I'm sure all of you are aware of what's going on with state budgets and probably have the same frustrations that we do. But for the ag budget, we're pretty happy with some of the parts of it that are already in there. Well, not there yet, but what's being proposed. Some of the positives. There's an increase in the general operating budget for the ag department, which we're pleased. There's been so many cuts over the years. They've been cutting staffing, programs, and we were getting down to bare bones, and we really hated to see any more cuts. So we were really pleased to see that there were some increases there. Just with cost of living, cost of, doing more business, it takes more money. So we were really pleased that the governor's proposal and the state legislature saw that need to keep that agency going and whole and provide the key programs that we need in the state. Another area is the funding for ag research and extension. There's some increases there too. As well, you are aware that over the years there's been cuts. We've seen it all in our counties, the cut in funding, the cut in programs, the cutting in staff. We're down to bare bones. Extension provides such a good service to the farmers back home, bringing us up to date on new technologies, what's happening in agriculture in the world. That sometimes we don't have time in our farms to go out and read all of that or follow up on things, where we rely on Penn State and Extension to get that information to us, that we take the time and understand new things that are coming out that will help us stay in farming and be productive. We're pleased to see the additional $2 million for avian influenza. That's still a real threat for us. We saw the devastation out west earlier this spring, the millions of birds. And it's great to see that the governor recognized that it's a threat to Pennsylvania and its economy. And they've taken a lot of steps to get a program in place to try to head it off as quickly as possible if there is an outbreak. I know there's still ongoing talks of, if it does outbreak, what do we need to do to prevent the least amount of loss and the least amount of hardship to farmers and the economic loss that they endure. We also look at the adequate funding for the Animal Diagnostic Commission and the Pennsylvania Vet Lab. There again, we need that funding to head off any diseases that could come forward quickly. We're all under the stress of a possible terrorist attack. If those labs are in place and adequately funded, they can identify those areas that might have a disease outbreak and get the program in place to try to head it off to stop the disease before it spreads, or to stop the economic hardship for those farmers. I guess the biggest negative for our budget is we're really not seeing any relief for property tax yet. Family farms continue to bear the burden of the property tax. And with pensions and what's going on there, our school property tax keeps going up. We're price takers. Those increases, how do we find more money to pay for those higher property taxes? So we're really looking for real relief in property tax. And the proposals that are now don't address that. But there is one proposal, Senate Bill 76, that calls for the complete and permanent elimination of property tax. And Farm Bureau has policy to support that bill. And it's expected that bill will come up for a vote in the Senate today. So we're urging our members to contact their senators in support of that. The next issue is sort of a new issue that Farm Bureau is undertaking. A lot of the pollution diet that we're, what do I want to say? Are caused, they say that we're the cause of that pollution diet. Well, Farm Bureau and Penn State and several of the state agencies are taking on a survey we're developing for across the state. It's going to be rolled out in the next several weeks. And it's to identify those areas of best management practices that farmers are doing without federal funds. A lot of state agencies don't recognize anything that's being done unless it's paid for by the government, which isn't true. There's a lot of farmers that do a lot of good environmental stewardship and don't worry about the government funds paying for it. We know what we need to do on our lands to protect the soil and water. With cover crops, no-till, sod waterways, a lot of these practices are done without any federal funds. So the bottom line is we're looking for a way to, compile this data, to collect this data. What we're going to do is when we collect this data, it actually goes to Penn State. They've agreed to aggregate it in the county and then supply this data to DEP. And then hopefully, they'll accept it, and when we're talking with EPA, that they'll accept it. So the farmer can either fill out a paper form or go online, indicate what he's doing voluntarily. Penn State's going to collect it and aggregate it and put it into a report form. And then to verify some of these results, there's probably going to be a small select group of farmers that will get selected just either by Penn State, Cooperative Extension, DEP, or the Conservation District will come out and just verify those. So we have, sort of a verification program that this stuff is actually being done. And it's sort of through a third party that's checking on everybody to make sure that's what is being done. And I, 100% faith, we have a lot of good, hard-working farm families that are doing these practices. And we'd like to get that data collected and show these agencies, just what we are doing out there. And why we're actually doing this is, a lot of you are probably aware of our Chesapeake Bay lawsuit. The Chesapeake Bay model, when it first came out, we right away say it was scientifically flawed. They wouldn't accept any of these practices. And the model keeps changing too. That sort of frustrates everyone in the process. But the Chesapeake Bay model has certain certain pollution limits that EPA is putting on the Chesapeake Bay, and the states have to meet certain backstop dates of meeting these requirements. And we feel that the data that they are using is flawed, so we think the whole model is flawed, and American Farm Bureau and quite a few other groups have taken EPA to court on this. Now we've gone through 2 different federal court opinions that sort of have sided with EPA. They've sort of rubber stamped what EPA is doing. And we feel we have strong legal footing that they're not doing. They've gone over and above what they're allowed to do with the Clean Water, their authority of the Clean Water Act. So we're taking those 2 lawsuits that we actually lost, and last week we are appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court. Our first step is to ask the Supreme Court to hear the case. And hopefully, you know, we have a good feeling that they will hear that court case because it's such a precedent-setting case. Even the first judge that ruled against us, one of her statements was, this will probably go to the Supreme Court, and it is a precedent-setting case. So we have total confidence that, you know, the Supreme Court will hear this. Now you might want to ask why we're pursuing this so much. Well, EPA is calling for 20% of the land mass of farmers in the Chesapeake Bay area to be idled, either be put in permanent vegetation or you know, trees along the rivers and that. That amounts to 600,000 acres in the Chesapeake Bay area alone. Now, I don't know about you, but, you know, 20% of my farm ground is taken away from me. How am I supposed to continue farming or be able to produce to survive? How would anybody like 20% of their house to be taken away from them? You know, a federal or state agency come in and tell you, well, you've got this house here, you can't use 20% of it. But you still have to pay taxes on it and take care of it. And, you know, how are we supposed to do that? So this is why this case is so important to us. You know, the economic impact of taking that amount of ground. And just think of the loss of food production. You know, we keep talking about the rising population of feeding the world, of it growing so fast and the amount of hungry people out there. Now this model is just for the Chesapeake Bay, and they said once it's in place, it's just going to move to all the other watersheds. Look at the amount of land across the U.S. that will be taken out of production. So I think this case will be historic of pushing EPA back. Along the same lines is the waters of the U.S. rule that EPA has just come out with a final rule on. There again, it was between EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers put in a rule of sort of land jurisdiction, a water jurisdiction. There again, they wanted to expand their authority under the Clean Water Act of what they can regulate. Luckily, we had House Bill, I'm not sure what the House Bill was, but Bill Schuster of Pennsylvania championed that legislation in the House of Representatives to push EPA back. It passed the House. 2 weeks ago, there was Senate Bill 1140. There was a vote on cloture to stop a filibuster of that bill to push EPA back. That actually fell short by 3 votes. We had 57 senators vote for and 41 against. Senator Toomey supported us. Senator Casey didn't support us. And we're really trying to find a good explanation why Senator Casey wasn't on our side. Because EPA's rule, if you start looking at all the details of it, if it goes as far as it wants to go, it will cover 99% of the land mass in Pennsylvania. You know, my comment to Senator Casey's staff was, this isn't just about agriculture anymore and the impact of agriculture. It's the impact of all of your constituents. Any homeowner can be impacted by this rule. So we're trying to work back through again to push this back. You know, we understand it's flawed, and we need to just keep our fight against EPA. And I'll stop there right now and ask if you guys have questions.